Hello and welcome to Scott Bryson Beyond the Service. Tonight, we're bringing you a special guest, a not retired, but former Secret Service Uniform Division officer. And I'm returning the favor because a few months ago, he was kind enough to have me on his podcast. And now tonight, he's on mine. So welcome, Mr. Jeff Hopeck, to Scott Bryson Beyond the Service. How are you doing,
Scott,
Jeff?
thanks. I'm
You doing
excited.
good, buddy?
Oh, yeah, great, man. I'm fired up for this.
Well, I'm
Let's do it.
excited. It's hard to get Secret Service guys to want to come on here and talk. I mean, a lot of these guys have signed NDAs and different things, and I understand that. But we're not going to give away any trade crap. But we like to tell some stories that people want to hear, and I'm excited about it.
Yeah, no sources and methods, right?
No
Two things
sources,
to stay away from.
no
Sources
numbers,
and methods.
no numbers. So why don't before we
Let's
get
do it.
into the crux of the matter, why don't you just give yourself a little overview for the audience here and tell them what you want them to know about Jeff.
Yeah, currently I'm 47 years old. I'm married. I live in Alpharetta, Georgia. Wife and 4 kids, 2, 5, 7, and 9. I'm originally from Pennsylvania. Born and raised, went to school in that area. Applied right out of college for Secret Service. Got in amongst other places that I applied, other federal positions. Got in. I had a unique career. It was very short, but I did some really cool stuff. I've got some really wild stories. Definitely 101. Like I was telling you about that wood behind me. We'll get into that. There's a good story behind that, but yeah, the one of the biggest days was that White House evacuation I've been telling you about. So I'm excited to get into that. Currently own a business now and have 2 podcasts. We'll talk about those later. And I've got, I'll end on this. I've got not a unique way of conducting business, but I've got a unique way of how I view business and how I wrap life, or I wrap my business around my life. And it's pretty interesting. I think your folks will really benefit from some of this stuff I've got to say about how I built it over the years and how I continue to grow it over the years, yet still go out, like I shared with you, 59 nights in a row over the summer, taking the kids and just rolling, but being able to do it all together. So
That's good.
let's have a fun time, man. I'm
Sounds to me
excited
like
for
you're
it.
living the American dream, and I'm glad. I'm glad to see people do well. I know you've been successful thus far, and I hope nothing but the best for you. Obviously, moving forward. So let's just get into it. Let's talk about your United States Secret Service career. As short as it was, it's still very fulfilling. It's a job that most people can't say they've done. It's nothing to be
Yeah.
taken lightly. So why don't you just tell your story about like how you got interested, why you're interested, and then we'll just go from there with what your duties and responsibilities were, and then of course we're going to tell some really cool stories.
Yeah, absolutely. So I shotgunned my resume out of college to a bunch of federal places. My initial appetite was Secret Service because I saw it. I saw a motorcade and it was
Hmm.
unbelievable. And I said, how can those people, how do they get paid for that? That's like dream kind of work, right? And so I sent it out, took some good advice from a friend of mine who was doing FBI at the time. He said, get it to a handful of places. So I sent Secret Service agent, Secret Service uniform, uh, ICE, a couple others. Air Marshal at the time was open, maybe a few others. And keep in mind the time. So let's set the table. This was a couple years after 9/11, but
Hmm.
that whole for a decade, everything seemed like it was the day after 9/11.
Yeah.
Everything, like everything, everything was so new. So I got in at a time. I believe the number was 8,400 applicants for the 24 spots,
Mm.
was what they told us. So that's how many people were applying.
Hmm.
I got in. I was blown away. I did not know the process. I was completely blown away at how thorough it was. I believe it was 13 different steps. I don't know what it is now, but it's not going to be far off of like first thing that you do is the drug questionnaire, and then getting into like the medical. You're only allowed to uh, fail one portion, one piece of the test, one of the 13, and get back in. Anything else, if you fail, you're out, right? And I'm sure it was pretty similar to you when you got in. But I actually did fail the eye part, and that was the only part you're allowed to fail and get back in. So I had to either get LASIK and come back in, or jump out, because the requirements back then were 2060. I tested 2100, and I had no idea what any of this stuff was about, right? So I'm learning as I go. So I test 2100, and then they give you a piece of paper that's an option. You can either go and correct your vision, which at the time, pretty much LASIK was the only thing, but it was fairly new. So I had to decide, was I going to do LASIK and jump back in the process, or just get out? All agencies were the same back then, right? So if I was going to get out, I was getting out of everything. And I did the LASIK, which I'm so grateful for. I just had an eye test now, 20 years later, and I'm still 2010.
Wow.
So jump back in, started the process. Mine went fairly fast because of the hiring push, but I'm still amazed. It was still close to 2 years. It was still close to 2 years. So I worked a couple different jobs throughout that to get through and to get by. Didn't come from much. I wasn't like I had any kind of silver spoon. So I was always in the golf business, went to school for golf, and just worked a couple jobs at the golf course. And then came the day, the call, the incredible call of selection.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're not selected for the job, but you're selected to go to training and, take a stab at getting through training, which means you would get hired. And again, my road in was uniform division that got back to me first.
Yep.
So I took it. And I knew from friends, like, you get in and you go all over the place. You can work a couple different positions inside a uniform, and then bounce over or go to another agency, whatever it looks like. So yeah, remarkable. It was remarkable and incredible. The only thing I would say, Scott, that I think it's important to know at this point, right where we're at, so right in the hiring process, is when I was 18, I had something, I didn't know what it was called. And I never would have called it a business. But I had something incredible. Like, I'm talking awesome, great revenue from wholesaling golf equipment on eBay.
Okay.
We got a break. I'll unpack that later, but I got a break that was unbelievable. It was the life-changing break that every entrepreneur gets at some point. I didn't know it. I thought I was just screwing around. I knew I was making a lot of money, right? And this was during college. But it's important to know that, because as I get on the job, that fire. So any entrepreneur listening to this, whether you're an entrepreneur practicing and you have your business up and going, or I hope this hits people who have the burning, they don't really know what it is. So let me just tell you what it is. You'll never fully extinguish it. It's never going to go away. So if you have that bug to start a business, it's just not going away. So I had that, and I truly had a great business. Again, I wouldn't have called it a business. I was too young at the time. So I took a job. I got a job because I thought that's what you do. I got a cool job, and the job was incredible. Every day, though, kept, what would it be if I did this? What would it be? So I was never able to put that away. I was never able to extinguish it. It's important to know that.
Yeah, that's important. And, it's funny that we're talking about entrepreneurship, because my wife is exactly that. And she's my age. It doesn't matter how old she is. She'll kill me. But we're mature adults. And so, yeah, I'm hoping that, not only for my wife's sake, but for anybody out there who's listening, that you can learn from Jeff, because Jeff has been super successful. And, it's funny because I have an education degree, and I became an agent and did that job. And he had, what was your degree in?
It was in marketing.
Yeah, marketing. And then you went to law enforcement for a little while. And then, it's all these things, these little tools that we put in our toolbox, they all add up later in life, even though we might not know it. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think that's very safe to say. And you never know. I know it's cliche, but you never, ever know who's coming back into your life.
Yeah.
At a different season.
Yep.
So it's so cliche. I hate even saying it, but don't burn bridges. There's so much truth to that, man. And I have so many stories where it's like, whoa, that guy's back in it. And now he's the boss. Good thing I'm left on good terms with him, because now I need help. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, I would agree
100%.
with it.
So what were the different responsibilities? Were you signed? Now I know for you and I, we'll have to. We know the jargon. We need to talk for the layperson watching this. Like we try not to use too many acronyms. Sorry guys, but like were you at the White House? Were you at the Naval Observatory? Did you bounce back and forth? Did you do foreign missions? What was like? Where did you kind of start off? You make it through the academy. You get out. Your boots on
Mhm.
the ground. Are you at Crown? Are you? Where are you?
Yeah, so in the academy, I'm not sure what it's like now, but this is again back then. You took a choice. You had to list your top three. I got my one, and it's funny because my one is like the one that everybody dreads. They don't even put it on their list, and I wanted it. And I think this is a good lesson for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
right? I followed my heart. I
Mm-hmm.
knew I wanted the position. I knew I wanted to be White House. And all the reasons I heard why people didn't want White House, they were like the reasons why I did want it. Like, oh, there's people around. Oh, all this stuff. I was like I like connecting with people. And I look back and I'm so glad that I started there. So that was my first choice. I took it. I got it right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
And you get on and you work posts.
Yeah.
And 100%. Like, no job's fun day in and day out. There's days of absolute sheer boredom. Sure, there are. Like, I remember working C2. Do you know the names if I just leave it at C2?
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
is?
Yeah.
Okay. C2 at 1 in the morning, president's not home. It's 11 degrees outside, right? Nobody's out. And I remember like clear as day. I remember going, what did I get myself into?
Yes. Yes.
But it's cool because then you look at it and you go, well, next week I'm going out on an advance. Because something I did unique was I got selected to do advance very early on. So you weren't able to apply till 18 months on the job. And I applied at a year because I forget what it was. One of the officials, I remember his name, but I'm gonna leave it out for the sake of this.
Yep.
It's irrelevant.
Yep.
He said, "Hey, we're really hurting there, and I think you have the right skill set. Why don't you apply?" And I think it's important to note, like the skill set they were referring to. I started a golf league at the White House.
Oh wow.
Okay, so we had gear for it. We had tournaments. It was an ongoing. You played your round during the week, got it to me. Got the scores to me. I did the scoring. So I had like everything that you need for advance. I was showcasing within the first year. So he came to me, and again, it was a game changer because he said, "Look, you have nothing to lose. Throw your name in. I'm one of the guys selecting on the committee." And sure enough, I got in, and it was unbelievable. So I did advance. Now you don't just change course and then do that all day, every day. It's like a job within a job. So I had a job within a job. It was the first time I went out, I remember, was Biloxi, Mississippi, right after Katrina. Mind blown. The Army Corps of Engineers just started setting up checkpoints. Casino chips are still scattered across the street. They're counting on homes, putting the red numbers, how many bodies they find. I mean, it was fresh. So it was a fascinating first year to get in that, and I got my first big overseas assignment to Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. That was unbelievable. Who would ever buy a plane ticket to go to Mongolia?
I wouldn't.
So there's so much fun in it. I think it comes down, like anything else, is the attitude. Like,
Yeah.
put me in the worst environment there is on the planet, and I guarantee, without doubt, I'm going to find the fun in it.
Yeah, well, you definitely have a very positive vibe about you. You're a glass half full, which is good because that job will wear you down, and it certainly did me. After 25
Yeah.
years, I'm definitely feel like a little bit of a pessimist. I'm coming out of it though. I've turned the corner. Funny story about the Mississippi trip. I was down there working that as well. I didn't know you at the time, obviously, but I was doing the cat advance. So that was just unbelievable devastation. It was very, very sad, wasn't it?
Did you? Oh, it was horrific. Did you stay in the hotel that had the roof blown off it? We had to bring sleeping bags. I don't remember the
No,
name of it.
I lucked out. We stayed over on an Air Force base, and we had funny story. I don't even know if I've ever told this story. I stayed on a bus. What do you call it? Like one of the a tour bus, right? So like it had been 50 cents bus, his tour bus. And so
Oh, come on.
yeah, it wasn't horrible.
Oh,
I felt a little guilty because there was a lot of bad stuff going on around us, and we had a grill set up and hamburgers and hot dog. We weren't living bad, and I kind of felt a little guilty, but yeah, that's what I did for a week.
wow. That's sweet. Well, it was cool. We got to stay. So again, I forget the name of the hotel. I just knew it had no roof and we had to boil our water and all that
Yeah,
other stuff.
yeah.
But they had a makeshift bar set up, and it was all the Army Corps engineers. Like the bar was completely devastated, right? But they had brought in on wheels, or however they made it. But that was where everybody gathered. So you worked all day, and then you gathered there at night. And the stories,
Hmm.
I just got goosebumps again. I remember this guy clear as day, just telling stories of like what he saw. So he was an Army guy, Army Corps of Engineers, and they're out there. They're advanced. They're doing stuff way before we get there.
Mm.
And sometimes way before can mean 6 hours, but they're there to understand and block off the horrific stuff.
Yeah,
And he was just talking. I remember him talking about body parts, and it was just
yeah,
wild, but
yeah.
crazy.
Crazy
So
times. Well, so tell us about the piece of wood behind you. You were talking about that a little bit off camera, but we didn't get into the weeds because I want to save it for the podcast. So that's an interesting story.
I've got a ton of stuff actually, but that's one of the best right there. So that piece of wood that you're seeing right behind the White House glass and the hockey puck. That's an agent. The team they have, the U.S. Secret Service hockey team. So that piece of wood, only once when I was there. It might have been done before, but up until like 2005, the White House East Wing, which is like the first lady's side of the White House where she conducts business, the office was only ever redone one time. And when they pulled up the hardwood floors, I happen to be good friends with the White House. There's only one of them. The White House like the woodworking guy. What an expert he was. But he grabbed the piece, cut it, and signed it to me. Got it like inscribed. Special, such a special piece now looking back. So yeah, it's truly like a one of one. I've got a ton of other stuff like that, really cool. But it's sitting next to an inauguration bottle, a bottle of Coke, George W. Bush from his inauguration, all sort of cool stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, that is really cool. I mean, I think it's funny too because when we're there living it, you go like your office is the White House. It becomes a little, at least for me, it was a little mundane, and I think we take it for granted. It's human nature, right? You have an S key to the, you basically have a key to the whole house, and
I know.
it's very weird. It's very bizarre, and then you start, you like take for granted what you're doing, and you start complaining about having to work in the heat and work in all the things that other people complain about. But for the general layperson, you wouldn't think you would ever complain. But there's plenty of griping that goes around over there, especially when it comes
Oh
to
yeah.
push and post and things like that. But it sounds to me like you definitely were the glass half full guy on your shift. You probably didn't really have a bad attitude. It sounds to me like, which is an awesome attribute.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm just born. I think maybe I was just born that way.
Well, that's
Like
good. That's very
you
good.
gotta, the hour's gonna go by. Let's just look at the next hour. The hour's gonna go by no matter what.
Yeah.
Why have a miserable hour?
Yep.
You're in control of it. Why have a miserable hour? So
100%.
I don't
Now,
know.
without giving away any like operational security stuff, which we wouldn't do you want to try to explain to the audience about for early being held over? Because I could hear it all. I was like, those poor guys are just getting crushed. Did
Yeah.
that ever happen to you very often, or like getting days off can be hard over there?
Yeah. It's very tough. So all those acronyms, you can be forced early, and I'm sure you guys had something similar, but
Mm.
our pay scale was different than an agent's pay scale. So we're paid like police officers, and we're on the, is it the Washington D.C. whatever it is,
Yeah.
the pay scale. So you have a base, but you make a lot of your money. You make almost double from overtime.
Yep.
Now overtime's awesome when you sign up for it. So they'll call on the radio an hour before the end of shift. Hey, does anybody want 4 over? So you said 4 over and 4 under. And you could call right back in, and if you're first to get it, yeah, I'll take it. And what that means is you'll go stand a post for an extra 4 hours. Maybe somebody's running behind. Maybe somebody called off. Whatever.
Yeah.
And you get 4 over. Absolutely incredible. You knew it was coming.
Yes.
That's the easy one.
You knew it's coming.
The terrible one was when you knew you had something after work, and you get Officer Hopeck, call whatever it is, 059. You call 059, you're forced over. Now you got a 4 over force. You might be coming into your day shift. So you might be coming out, you might be coming out of like night shift, forced 4 over, coming into like, just a mess. But
it was a mess. I felt really bad for you guys. If I'm being dead, the worst one to me from the cheap seats was the 4 early. Like if you had to come in for day shift and you had to be at roll call, like whatever your roll call was, 5:30 or 6, whatever it is. Now you're showing up at 2 a.m. That's ridiculous.
That was the worst one ever, and it got real bad when they I forget the exact rule, but if they called you, right, guys would know the trick. If you're getting a phone call at night at 8 o'clock at night, you knew you were being forced to come in at 2, so they wouldn't answer. But something came down. I remember they dropped the hammer on that. Like if you don't answer, whatever happened.
Yeah,
they get you.
Yeah,
they got you.
Oh yeah, the Bears going to get you.
Yeah, you're right. Then you hit the seasons where it's like, hey, don't plan anything because everybody's going to be getting forced over all the time. So I would say since I left in 2006, I've been back at least once a year, but sometimes I've been back a lot in a year. And I still have some contacts at the White House there. And I come back and they let me bring people in. So for tours, so I've been bringing like clients and friends and stuff. So last couple of years, I would say I went up 4 or 5 times. I'll never forget. Out on what is it, Footbeat, whatever it's called, 222 or whatever. I just started talking to a guy. I was like, "Hey, I'm a former uniform guy. What's it like up here?" And him just going off. It's like, "Oh, we're forced over because they're so short.
They are.
The government's federal government's so short." And him just going off at like, we're working 6 days minimum, 12 a day. A lot of it's forced. No volunteering. It's hard, but those are always seasons. That's nothing new.
Yeah.
That's nothing new.
Yeah, no, it's for the person listening to this, you're like, it doesn't sound that bad, but trust me, it was brutal to watch. And you could hear the radio, and eventually, fast forward, some years, I was the jock AT, and you'd hear him say, officer, and then they'd rattle off 4 or 5 names or 10 names. Call G2. Like, here it comes. Here comes the hammer.
Yep.
So, but
G2. There you go.
But the bottom line, PTSD. But the bad, you have a very good outlook on it. But like in all seriousness, like that is not a really great way of doing business. And I don't. The only way to fix it is to hire. You have to have bodies, but you can only get so many bodies because you got to vet them, right? And I think there's a high attrition rate over there because of that. Like the work-life balance is not great. When you're young and single, maybe not a big deal because you're making tons of money and that's great. But if you're a salty veteran and you haven't made sergeant yet and you're 10 or 12 years on the job and you're just, it can be hard on those guys. And I wish there was a way they could fix it. Maybe somebody smart like you who's an entrepreneur can go in there and give them a new spreadsheet or something.
Wouldn't that be cool? We'll have to add that to the list.
We'll have to get you a consulting. I guess I would say we would call Elon, but Elon's gone. We could reverse Doge this thing.
Oh, I would love to just shoot those people straight because I know right now
it's
all
hard.
that Doge,
it's hard on those
good
guys.
Intention, but they're not getting told from low ranking people what's really happening
Yeah.
there.
Guys are
You
scared
know
to tell
that
the
all the
truth.
brass is covering it up. Oh no, we're good here. We're not good. Go talk to the postanders and
Mm-mm.
listen to what's happening. But
So
tough.
did you, the whole time you were with service, were you at the White House the whole time? Did you ever switch over to VPR or K9, not K9, but mags? When you were out doing advances, was it like mag work? What was it?
Mag Advance. Yeah,
Hmm.
I did a ton of them. Once I got the first one, um, I don't know. I'll just say I did something on it that opened the door for me to get a lot more. I mean,
Hmm.
they liked something about it, right? I
Hmm.
mean, um, so I did Biloxi, and then you get sort of put on I don't know, maybe a merry-go-round, and you get
Hmm.
picked. And it seemed like I just had a lot of opportunities, both foreign and here in the states. And the state stuff, like you go out a week before, so I'm going out with everybody else, all the other. You had an Air Force One advance. Well, you know the deal, but counter sniper, K9. Every
Yeah.
division has their teams. So got to see so much of the country and like really see it,
Hmm.
which is so cool. Because when you're there for a week and your first point of contact is police department and fire,
Hmm.
you're getting like legit what to do in a city when
Hmm.
your first points of contact are lieutenants that lived there for 20 years, sergeants, all that stuff,
Yeah.
going, hey guys, here's what to do and here's what not to do.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
really getting to see it and experience it,
Yeah. That's good. Let's talk about Mongolia or whatever foreign trip you would like. Mongolia. I didn't check that box. I always wanted to get over there, and I came close one time. Was that
yeah.
what was that like? Was that wild, or how was that cool, or what was it?
Here's the way I saw all travel once I got on advance. I wanted trips. Aha. You know what? I think I answered my own question. This is why my name came up all the time. No joke. Because I would take all the junk trips.
Yeah.
That's exactly why they kept coming to me. Because here was my theory. Throughout my life, I'm going to go to places like Italy and Greece and all that stuff, the fun stuff. I'm
Hmm.
going to do those things because I'm going to want to buy a ticket there. I want to go to places and see places that I wouldn't be able to buy a ticket or
Hmm.
that I would never buy a ticket for.
Yeah.
And this is one of them. So Mongolia, like that came up. No, who would want anything to do with that, right? And at the time, the high, I'll never forget it, the high, we worked outside. The high temperature was -10.
Mm.
You weren't outside the entire time, but you know the deal.
Oh yeah.
And they're 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks of being there of like just just being outside for a couple minutes at a time. It's just raw and nasty and all that stuff. So yeah, I answered my own question. I like those junk trips, so they knew it was a no-brainer to call Hopeck.
That's awesome. But it's funny because a lot of guys, most guys aren't that way, but there's a small handful of people that are. And I was the same way. Like, I, I wanted an opportunity to go see things that I know I wouldn't either A, be able to afford to go do, or B,
Yeah,
wouldn't go do because it's like country
sure.
X in Africa or wherever in the Middle East. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So, yeah, I respect that. I was always trying to weasel my way into. I got to go to Afghanistan twice, um,
Ooh,
and I've bounced around a lot of places too. But yeah, I was always trying to get on the what I call the dirty trips.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's good. And then your name gets on that list and you get selected because
yeah.
you're not going to turn them down.
Well, yeah, because you have a good attitude, obviously, and then you're putting forth the good work product. So that's a dangerous combination in a good way. So I'm sure, like, oh, we got a workhorse, let's ride him. That's good though.
Let's ride them. Do it. Good.
Yeah,
And that was epic. Back to a little bit to your question though. Like, I mean, again, nobody's going to buy a plane ticket there,
yeah.
Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia. But some of the details of that trip, like I really got to see some inner makings.
Hmm.
One of my favorite stories about that trip was, you know how you have the briefings every night, right? So you're out working all day. When you're doing advance, you're working all day, and then you come back and you like everybody puts their findings together, and then they they build the site plans and all that stuff. I'll never forget one of the Air Force One guys, advanced guys, telling the story that the fuel that they have in Mongolia failed testing standards to refuel, and this was the first time, Scott, that both set the big ones were nose to nose on foreign soil.
Mm-hmm.
So we had them both with, because Bush at the time did what was called the Southeast Rim Tour.
Mm-hmm.
So they had so much press on it that they took a separate full. Is it the 4.7? Is the biggest one
Yeah.
at the time?
It was
the
then.
4.7.
Yeah.
And two of them were parked next to each other on foreign soil, and I remember that being the first time. But the Air Force One guy said they failed standards. They can't use the fuel from that country to refuel the two of them, and they brought in fuel from another country, and the logistics behind it, we won't get into it. That's when I said, okay, now I see when they make announcements and Obama traveled to India and it was $1 billion of taxpayer money. I now can say, wow, why was it only $1 billion?
Yeah.
Where before I would have said, how can anything cost that much? Oh, think about that. Flying in fuel to refuel two 747s.
Yeah, it's crazy. I tell you, if the general public knew about the logistics and just the sheer amount of the volume of work that goes into one little visit on one particular day, it's hard to wrap your mind around. And I've forgotten, I think it's probably like having a baby, and that's not a great analogy. The women watching this are like, no, but it's like, you forget how bad it was, but like there were times when you're like, oh, one night you'd be questioning yourself going, why did I take this job? I went to college and I'm standing in a stairwell. And then the next day you're doing something super cool and you're working 20-hour days and you're like, I don't think I'm going to get it all done. It's a very unique set of circumstances that guys are dealt.
Yeah, they're absolutely. There's no question about it. No question at all.
Yeah,
to see that stuff is priceless. Like,
yeah.
There's not a day that goes by. I really mean this. A work day. There's not a work day that goes by with my different family of businesses and podcasts that I'm not either inspiring somebody because of something that I was made aware of or exposed to during my days in Secret Service, or connecting somebody to somebody, whether it's Derek Lyman, whether it's you with connecting to Nick, Nick McKinley, just like stitching the world together.
Mm-hmm.
But it all originated because of my experience back in those days. Like, I'm able to come on podcasts now and do this kind of stuff because I had that experience.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I met people from all around the world. Like when I got into my first business and started manufacturing kettlebells, I had a contact in India because I did an advance in India. And that comes into my entrepreneurial story significantly.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, 20 years outside of work there, I'm still regularly talking to, contacting, getting help from, or helping people that I worked with back in that day.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
No, it's good. It's a very big Rolodex we have. And I think that's why, of course, you work for yourself, which is great, but like that, I think that's why a lot of guys are so marketable, because that's just one of the many things we bring to the table. We bring hard work ethic and all the other things too, but like the Rolodex is pretty substantial. So let's move into separation. So what was the impetus to going, okay, this is cool, but I think I'm going to actually use my marketing degree to make significant money for my family?
Yeah. The hand in the day. So the day that I actually had to take my gun and badge, and I took it to Atlanta because when I finished in DC, I still had about 70 days left to burn. Right? I had so much. What's the acronym?
Use or lose. Yeah.
Use or lose, and there's another one. C time. I had so much C time spent up, comp time. So when you would work 4 overs and 4 unders and all that stuff, or when you would travel and work on your days off, You don't have to. You didn't have to take it as overtime. You could take it as comp time. I had so much built up that when I left, I came to Georgia and I was literally on federal payroll getting my first business started. And so my debriefing was in Atlanta, Georgia at field office there.
Mm-hmm.
And that was I would say that was the first time I really knew that it was right. I knew the move was right because I cried the entire way home from handing in my gun and badge all the way back to, at the time I lived in Duluth, which is about a 40-minute ride. Cried. It was, but I knew it was right. I knew it was the right move for me. So I couldn't put out that burning desire to start a business. There's no way of extinguishing it. And to get into sort of the nitty gritty of it, it's not like wake up one day and, oh, I think I'll do this. I think I'll leave this incredible job that is giving me security and all this other stuff and a great paycheck and a great life. It was a process that ended with opening and flipping a page of a book by a guy named Jack Canfield. So he's a big self-improvement guy. I read all things self-improvement. But one page and one sentence got me to say, okay, now I understand this. If I don't make a move now, I'm going to continue to put it off. And I flipped over the page. It's in his book called Success Principles. And at the top, it says the time is now. And one paragraph later, he said, it was like interactive. It said, pick something that you always wanted to do that you haven't done yet. And then he took you through the exercise. He said, let me tell you a story about Janet, who wanted to do this and she never did it. And she said, well, once my kids graduate high school, and then they graduated, she said, okay, well, now once they graduate college. Fast forward Janet's story in the book, the lady never did what she wanted to do.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, I'm never going to do this because I'm going to get career status and then I'm going to get promoted and then I'm never going to do this. And it's hard, man. It's really hard to look and to go like, is it cognitive dissonance where you're studying two things and it's like, I love this and I love this. I love two things and I love them both and I want them both in my life, but you can't have them.
Yeah.
So it was a decision. And right there, to set the table there, I had just gotten approved to try out for CS, which is what I ultimately want to do, was counter sniper and uniform division. So I had gotten a green light to try out. The first tryout got postponed. I'll never forget it. There was a big spending freeze in the federal government. So counter sniper wasn't able to spend on 50 caliber rounds. I'll never forget it. So they pushed it. And you know, it was like right at that time. I wasn't ready to put in for agent yet. I wanted to do CS. And then this happened. And I said, I got to go start a business. And looking back, I mean,
that's good.
What a miracle.
Yeah. No, that's great, man. I think you touched on something that's very important for people to pick up on is, you know, that burning desire that's in your gut. You have to follow it. You know, I tried to leave the service a few times too, and it didn't work out. But I think, which is fine because I believe God has a plan, you know, right? And I don't believe things happen for a reason. I think everything happens for a reason. I don't think things are random. I don't believe in coincidences personally. So for me, my plan was different than yours. I tried to leave the service like 3 times, but I was ultimately meant to stay. Your plan was totally different than mine, and you were meant to go. But regardless, it's not cookie cutter, right? So your plan was your plan. My plan is my plan. And I think as long as you're aware, which you obviously were and I was, you know, and you're obedient, you kind of lean into that, the rest takes care of itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was a process. And I wasn't a believer at the time, but to look back at it and to see how he used that story and how I'll say he plucked me from the world, right? Is a phrase I like to use. So he plucked me from the world in the direction I was heading, pulls me out, and the way that he's created this story and used me for, which, I mean, ministry, all this other stuff, ministry and discipleship and all these other things that I've gotten involved with and been able to help and serve others. It's remarkable. Again, it's not my story. So that's the beautiful part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't take credit. I want to, right? The
Yeah.
Jeff in me wants to say me,
Mm-hmm.
I, but his story,
Yeah.
right?
No, that's great,
It's
man.
just wild to watch it unfold, be
Yeah.
obedient, and yeah,
That's great.
one foot in
So
front of
while
another.
we're talking about your next chapter, which you've been in for the last 20 years or whatever of your life, let's talk about what leadership looks like versus management. Give the audience what your perspective on that is, because I like to say that I manage my finances and I lead people. There aren't very many leaders in the world anymore, I don't think, and you can definitely tell a difference. And I don't work for you, nor do I know anybody that does, but I guarantee you're a good boss. So give some people some heads up on what like leadership looks like, and how difficult that can be.
I just heard it put. I've been operating this way for 20 years,
Mhm,
but I couldn't put my finger on it.
mhm,
And it comes down to virtues versus values.
mm,
And this is such a game changer.
mhm,
A guy on my podcast, on my 20-minute MBA podcast, my first guest, because it's a brand new podcast,
mhm,
wrote a book on it that he just launched a couple days ago, and he talks about virtue versus value. And values are the things that are put in an organization on a wall. Most employees don't even know what they are, and they're fancy words that go customer service and integrity and all these things. And they're designed to have a culture look at, act a certain way, and be held bound to. But
mhm,
it's like behavior modification. And at the end of the day, most employees don't even know what the values are written on the wall. And truly, most of them should be happening anyway. Like if you walk into a restaurant, customer service shouldn't be a value. That should be an automatic,
mhm,
right? So my friend wrote this concept in this whole book on virtues. And virtues are a way that someone lives their lives. So he outlines these, and he runs a huge company, founder and president of a big company, but he talks about virtues as being the way someone should live their lives,
mhm,
right? And it's his responsibility as a leader to get them there. So,
mm,
for example, like wisdom is one of their virtues. Well, it doesn't just hang on a wall. He has an entire process for how they instill into their organization the value or the virtue of wisdom.
mm.
And there's multiple different podcasts that he pays subscriptions for, and training and all these other things that go into virtue-based living. So the easiest way to explain all that is a virtue is something that the person can take away from them, from the company.
Yeah.
So they have it whether they're in the company or they're not. You're investing into that person's well-being as a human being, not just, hey, do good customer service at my place of business here, and then
Mhm,
act however you want
mhm.
anywhere else in your life. So he's remarkable at culture, but that is sort of what has been happening. I didn't know it, but as I hear him explain and read his book, that's sort of the way it's been going. It's like we don't use these like fancy words like treat others the way you should be treated, like that kind of stuff, which is great. But a lot of companies and a lot of organizations, they're using that stuff.
Mhm.
What's the accountability metric to know if a person's doing that? Meanwhile, one of your cashiers is mistreating or misspeaking to, a customer. Like there's no connection. And the best way to see it on earth, the best way to see it is the Chick-fil-A culture. It's the Chick-fil-A culture. We are not in the chicken business. We're in the business of serving humans. Chicken's our tool, but chicken can go away tomorrow.
Mhm.
We're still in the business of serving human beings.
That's good.
That's what I'm completely bought into. One of the first early on books I've read is this. It's actually this series from Truett Cathy, founder of Chick-fil-A.
Mhm.
And he had a 5-book series that are just absolutely remarkable. But, he was all about investing into young men, right?
Yeah.
It's better to build men than to fix or it's better to build boys than to fix men.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that'll just take your mindset and just flip it around. He
Yeah.
was unbelievable.
Yeah, he certainly was. Funny little tidbit. I read one of his books. I forget which one. It's been a long time ago now because I was in the height of my career. I was on PPD. I was off CAD. I was on PPD, and I truly thought that the Lord was calling me into small business. Like I wanted to be a Chick-fil-A owner operator. Now, it wasn't because I was on like some holy roller and like, oh, I'm so pious, I'm going to go do the Lord's work. I wanted to make a lot of money, and they make a lot of money, but they also Christian based company. So I thought, well, I could kill two birds with one stone, and it did not work out. I tried twice with them, I believe, a swing and a miss 2 times with Chick-fil-A. But at the bottom line was, God had me where He wanted me, and no matter how much I push, it just wasn't going to work. But I mean, their business model is second to none. And it's obvious. I mean, like the fact that they honor the Lord by being closed on Sundays is, I mean, they could, I think that they make more money through the week than 6 days a week than most companies make 7 days a week because they're honoring the Lord.
Yeah. It's an epic. I had a contract with them for a while, for probably 6, 7 years, and got to spend a lot of time at their corporate office in in Atlanta. Got to really know not behind the scenes, more under the hood kind of
Yeah.
operations and stories. I love stories, so I love asking like really good, deep questions. Like,
Yeah.
it's awesome to hear the stories of like, how is everybody so clean? How's every restaurant so clean? And I'll never forget them explaining, they have this clause when you become an owner operator, that a Chick-fil-A manager can walk into your store and take your I guess it's like a C-level person, not just any manager, but a C-level person can walk into your store and you can lose it at any time. Like, knowing that that's the way it ought, like, that's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
But while we're on the Chick-fil-A thing, here's one of the best stories ever.
Okay.
One of my favorite Chick-fil-A stories, because it seems like we both love
I
organization.
love Chick-fil-A.
So there was a group in South Carolina that was posting enormous numbers on Monday. So Chick-fil-A sent a consultant out there to find out what they were doing on Monday so they can replicate it. And it turns out that they were secretly opened on Sunday.
Oh,
selling. I know. And obviously the operator lost his license.
bless up, dude.
But,
come on, bro.
I mean, yeah, they don't kid around. They don't mess around.
No, you can't. You cannot let the inmates run the asylum. That is not good, bro.
No,
that is greedy.
Yeah, tracking and analytics and all that other stuff.
Wow.
And standing by. The best part of it is like they stand by what they say, and it's just incredible. I love it.
That's awesome, man. Well, that's great. So as we start to wrap this up, we talked about leadership, and the Secret Service is obviously really cool. I'm trying to cut this out, Tucker. I don't have my glasses on. I can't see. Hang on. Okay, I'm back. So Luke and Tucker obviously have to keep me in line because I get goofy. So what, Jeff? Tell us as we were starting to wrap up. What do you think it takes? Like, what's the recipe for success? Like, you've obviously been very successful. You were a successful Secret Service employee. You've been a very successful businessman. You have a very healthy marriage and 4 wonderful children, whom I believe I don't know if I met all of them, but I met some of them at least at one time when I was at your house. What does success look like to you? Like if you're trying to talk to a 25-year-old person fresh out of college that wants to kind of be an entrepreneur and do big things, what does that look like?
This is a great question. I think it'll change in different seasons. Right? But I'll say right now, as I'm sitting here in the seat, and what I've learned from Secret Service and then businesses and podcasts, is the single most important thing to me, the measuring stick.
Mm-hmm.
What I thought it was before was Ferraris and club memberships and things. And thank God that He has plucked me from that. That is not the measuring stick. The measuring stick on if I'm successful is the amount of time that I spend with my family in a week. That's success for me. So Now I take that and I look at my businesses and I go, how do I continue to run this? How do I run this life,
Uh-huh.
but still have the time to be at carpool almost every single day,
Uh-huh.
you know, to be at pickup, to be present, to throw the ball with the kids, I'm coaching 2 out of my 3 kids' baseball teams now. I think, and you have the permission to, anybody can say you're nuts, Jeff. I think almost anybody can go out and, if given the opportunity to work 120 hours, can go be a multimillionaire. Prove me wrong. I just think it's the 10,000 hour principle. But here's what that's not important. What's important is having the financial success while at the same time having the presence to the family.
Uh-huh.
And that's what I figured out. So if you go, I can't write a book on business. I figured out a way to do well financially and have businesses that thrive and flourish. And like, that's all good. But what I ultimately figured out, Scott, is the recipe of being present and setting up life with my family and having the businesses wrapped around it while still being super successful at them financially.
Yeah.
That's different. That's different than what I think any consultant would come in and, look at it and just, the one metric you want to turn up is, well, every time Jeff works more revenue comes in. But Jeff ain't working more. So how do we still get that to happen? Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course it does. So would you like to expand? Because I think it's an awesome answer. Of course, I'm 53 years old and I'm tracking that, but the 23-year-old or the 33-year-old Scott wouldn't have been. So how have you, I know there's no magic formula because there's no cookie cutter format. It's different for every person, right? Everybody's life is different. How did you strike that work-life balance? Like, okay, I have to have food. I have to have a roof. I want to provide. I am a provider, and I'm also very motivated type A individual. But I also need to rein that in and be present. How have you done that? So for the person who hasn't figured that out yet, how have you done that? Because it's not. It sounds a lot easier than it is, and I think you've done a great job.
Yeah, probably no better way than to just explain my story as an entrepreneur. Was I came out of service and started importing a product that now the whole world knows about, but back then not many people did. It was a kettlebell.
Uh-huh.
And I was young and I was single and I didn't know it at the time, but the advice I would give to the people in their 20s, who you spend your time with, and I'm talking spouse, okay? So whether it's your girlfriend, serious girlfriend, fiance, or wife, whoever that person is, show me that relationship, and I'm going to tell you with 90% or higher certainty what your outcome is going to look like as an entrepreneur. It's that person.
Uh-huh.
That's the single most important relationship in your entire life. It's not your business. It's that relationship. Everything flows out of that relationship.
That's good.
And the miracle that I was given, again, I don't take credit for the story, was I was put an unbelievable human being in my life that I built my business with.
Uh-huh.
First as a friend, then as a serious girlfriend, quickly, then as a wife.
Yeah.
And I will say with full certainty now, had I not had her, there's no chance. There's no chance. Because here's what I would have done. I would have gone out and worked myself into the ground. Because in the early days, that's what it was for me. I didn't have any of these boundaries. I mean, work sun up to sundown. But that's the balance. She's that balance. So it was a mix of, having her by my side. I wanted to quit so many times. I remember going back in and I took the air marshal test. 3 years into being an entrepreneur, I was like, what is this all about? I didn't sign up for this. I went back to take the air marshal test. But then something happened, and I used to hide this part, or not talk about it. But Scott, one of the things I always heard is don't ever talk about politics, money, or religion. And I say that's what I say to that. Things start to change when you do talk about those.
Mm-hmm.
I say do talk about them. Don't brag about it. It's how you talk about them. You're not talking about money to go, I have more than you. Get in financial conversations with people. Not anybody, not people you just meet out on the street.
Sure.
Get in these conversations. Listen to people. I have a men's group, man. We're all young. I say young, but I mean I still consider myself young. But young men who like made it. We've built some cool things. We've got some assets, and now it's like we're in these struggles. Like, what kind of tax advantage stuff? Like, what are you thinking? Are you doing easements? Are you into dividend income in the stock market? Or like, what are you doing to protect and preserve?
Yeah.
So talk about that. Talk about religion, not to fight. That's how most of us tend to talk about it. Come and do my religion. No, sit down with a human being over a cup of coffee with due respect and say, hey, I just want to have a conversation and understand. You believe one way, I believe another. Let's talk about what we believe in. That's different than come and join my thing, or you come and join my thing. And politics, I mean, is a slam dunk and a no-brainer. It's hard to have those conversations.
Sure.
But I honestly lump them all together. When we can get into a point to have these conversations, these sensitive, tough conversations, it's unbelievable what you learn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you talk most of the time, talking is repeating what you know, but listening gives you a great chance to learn something new.
Yeah.
So sit with somebody who sees the world completely differently and learn a couple things.
I think that's great. That's great.
So you have 30, right? So Scott, 26, 27, 28, 29. I had a goal in mind. It was like, I wanted to become a millionaire at 30. Like a true millionaire, not mortgage, just true. And I missed it by a year, right? So that was a first big stepping stone for me. I want to be real clear though. I didn't start something and it was just successful. It was a very hard first 4 years. Very little. I went from 100 grand my last year in the Secret Service to 13,000 my first year as an entrepreneur. 20,000 my next year. Going, what is this? Something. And I'm reading this stuff that goes, stay in it for 5 years, stay in it for 5 years, stay in it for 5 years. And it's still the number today. It's 5 years. 4 years. All of a sudden, the fifth year, I mean, it is so true. The fifth year, boom. Year 5, it was a new venture. So my fitness thing was the first couple of years. Year 5 was the start of my marketing company where I just followed a passion, and it was $1 million business in the first year.
Wow. That's amazing.
So,
that's really good, man.
I know. And then since then, it's been learning, crashing, mistakes, learning, crashing, editing, mistakes, learning, crashing, editing, mistakes, on and on and on. Build an incredible insulated network of people. I like to say 9. There's 9 areas of our lives. Have a mentor in each. Don't mix them. Your fitness mentor should not be your business mentor. Right? So put that group together. Always be making a phone call because you're always struggling somewhere.
Yeah.
So always using a mentor.
That's great, man. That's sound advice, man. That's wisdom right there, folks. If you didn't know, there's knowledge and there's wisdom, and you just heard both. So, Jeff, I really can't thank you enough for coming on. I love talking to you, man. We'll have to do this again. I'll come back to Atlanta sometime if you want me to. I'll have you back on here. I mean, you're just a fun dude to talk to, man. You bring the group average up.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're settled in now, so I'm ready to go. Second podcast, check it out, is 20-minute MBA. So I asked the same 4 questions, same exact 4 questions to people that are crushing it out in the business world. It's a 20-minute or less podcast, and I my first episode launched, but man, I've got an incredible arsenal of people. If you listen to the first episode, we talk about Chick-fil-A. Get ready for this. The guy on the first episode is a real good friend of mine founded and runs a real successful company. He wrote his book. He had one person endorse the back cover, one, and it was Dan Cathy.
Okay.
Who's the son, True Cathy's son,
Yeah.
who was the second CEO of Chick-fil-A.
Yep.
Those are good circles. They're good.
Yeah, it's a good circle to be in, no doubt. Well,
his advice was unbelievable.
Before we close it out, why don't you shout out your podcast or anything you want the people to know about you or social media?
Yeah. So my company that I started is Killer Shark Marketing. That was the first client was in 2006. It was dental and medical for a decade. Now we work in all sort of industries, and it's marketing services, social media, everything from photography, videography, organic SEO, paid search, all that stuff, marketing for small businesses. And then I have two podcasts, which are just so cool. One is The Interesting Humans. That's the one you are on. That is just great stories. A lot of CIA, FBI, Secret Service, unbelievable health diagnoses that people overcame. Just looking for good stories there. And that helped birth 20-minute MBA. Which, like I said, is the same 4 questions I asked to successful people doing well in business. Mm-hmm. It's the first 5 minutes is, how did you get to here? Wherever you are, walk me through the whole journey. Then it's the single best advice you ever got, the single biggest mistake you ever made, and the single one life lesson you want to pass on.
Wow.
Man, it comes out great. So 20 minutes or less.
That's great.
Find me out on social media. I love connecting. And I'll end on this part, man. I don't just say these words. I love drinking coffee, but I love drinking coffee with people. I've had so many people take me up on this. If you're around our neck of the woods, Atlanta, I don't care if you have a desire to do business. You don't have to. Just to make a friend, literally, just to make a friend, take me up on it. Let's grab a cup of coffee. I mean it. I really do.
Well, you're a great human being, and I'm better for knowing you. And I'm glad that you reached out to me some months ago, and I took the time to drive to Atlanta. And thank you for your time tonight. You're a really, really unique individual and a patriot and a good man. And I'm glad to know you. Thanks for coming on, Jeff.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you too. Glad being here, bro.
Thank you.
See you, man.